Does Creed 2 rise above, or does it fall into the same boxing movie tropes we've seen before? Check it out to see what I think.
I was afraid I couldn't live up to these expectations. I got loyalty inside my DNA.
You don't think you got your validation?
I got loyalty inside my DNA.
So, here we are reviewing Creed 2, second in the Creed franchise, seventh in the eighth in the Rocky movie franchise. 6 Rocky movies, 2 Creed movies. Let's go over our cast real quick. Most of it is returning from the first movie. We've got Michael B. Jordan as Adonis Creed, Sylvester Stallone as Rocky Balboa, Tessa Thompson as Bianca, Dolph Lundgren back as Ivan Drago, and Florian Munteanu as Victor Drago, Ivan's son. Director, we've got Stephen Chappell Jr. This is his first big gig, I think. Ryan Coogler directed the first one. He also went on to direct Black Panther, and I think is directing Black Panther 2, or he's already signed on for it. He did not return for Creed 2, but I think he handed over the baton to a very capable director. The screenplay was done by Stallone and Cheo Coker, who directed and wrote most of the Luke Cage Netflix show. So the story, this is obviously following the first Creed movie. In this movie, Adonis has claimed the boxing championship when Victor Drago, the son of Ivan Drago, who killed Apollo Creed, Adonis' dad, back in Rocky IV, and then lost to Rocky later in that movie in Russia. His son, Victor, challenges Adonis for his championship belt, and of course, Adonis has to accept the challenge because Drago's killed his father, and he has to get redemption for it, and much more ensues from that. So, some of the pros here. The chemistry between Jordan and Stallone, again, is a standout. The story is good enough with some twists and turns to make it stand out from the 7 previous movies that we've seen in the series. The story is actually pretty emotional and can get pretty heavy at times. I'm not going to lie, I was getting a little teary-eyed at some points in this movie, especially at the end. It's less about the actual fighting and more about the consequences of Adonis constantly boxing, how it's impacting his life, how his life outside the ring is changing, and how he has to kind of decide which one matters more and which one to dedicate more time to, as well as Rocky, who in the first movie has cancer, and so he's dealing with that in the second movie, and Adonis is kind of taking care of him. He's kind of the only guy left in Rocky's life, and so he's got all these things to worry about, and in the middle, he's got the Dragos challenging him again. So he's got to deal with all this, and it takes a heavy toll on him, and we really see that in this movie. Something else I appreciate about this movie is that they actually gave the Dragos a pretty good storyline. They are, they're from Ukraine. They do a lot to avoid the typical Russian stereotypical villain storyline where they're just like machines that have no feelings or emotions. They actually give a pretty good storyline and motivation to these characters, and I really appreciate that. I think the ending, especially concerning them, is really going to surprise some people. I really appreciated what they did with them. Also, on a more technical level, similar to the first movie, the soundtrack, score, and sound design in this movie are great. I saw this in Dolby Cinema, which is the biggest, loudest you can get these days, and some of the punches literally shook my seat. I was literally shaking in my seat during some of these gut punches. Oh, it was so great. So, some cons. I did watch the first Creed right before seeing this one. I literally rented it on Amazon, watched it, and then I ran out and saw Creed 2, like literally 5 minutes after I finished the first one. So I can compare them pretty closely, and I'd say the first one I think is still better. The first one to me is almost a 10 out of 10, I'm not going to lie. But I think the second one, while it doesn't quite live up to the hype of the first one, I still think it follows pretty closely. It still has the same quality. It does still follow some tropes of the past 7 movies and boxing and kind of sports movies in general that we've seen, where our main character starts out on top, then he falls down, and then we follow his recovery back to the top. Although they do actually do some things to try to subvert what you might think happens, you can still probably predict what's going to happen in this movie about halfway through. Or, I mean, even now, if you've seen all the other ones, you can probably tell what's going to happen. Also, I did mention this in my pros, I did like the score, but I wish they would have used it more in this movie. The first movie used it a lot, but I think I was really hoping to hear more of that score in this movie. I think they were holding back on that main theme a little too much. They really only used it once or twice at really big scenes. I wish they would have used it more. Stop holding back on that good Rocky theme. I need it more in this movie. Overall, really love this movie. I am hyped up on Creed juice right now. I just want to go out and run a marathon and train and get Michael B. Jordan swole. The first movie, super good. This movie has just elevated my love. I want a Creed 3 now. I will watch these, as many as they can pump out. I am going to give Creed a 9 out of 10. I know we're throwing a lot of those around lately, but I think Creed 2 really deserves it. While it might not win any awards, it is a solid sequel follow-up, and I don't really know what else they could have done. I think they did pretty well for what people were expecting for a Creed 2. If you liked Creed 1, you should definitely go out and see this in theaters. If you weren't huge into Creed 1, or you weren't huge into the Rocky movies or boxing movies in general, then you can probably skip this if you want. If it's not your thing, it's not your thing. But I still think you should give it a chance, because I do think it kind of subverts some of those expectations and predictions that people have based on the previous movies they've seen. So, thanks for watching. Hope you guys go out and see Creed 2. If you haven't seen Creed 1, make sure you go back and watch that. Then go see 2. It's going to be a great day for you if you do that. I know I had a great time doing that. Keep it locked here for all your movie reviews. We'll have more coming out. We're going to hit Oscar season here in a couple months. Oscar award season. It's going to be great. So, thanks for watching, guys. Like, share, subscribe, all that great YouTube stuff. And we'll see you guys later with some more reviews. Bye.
Don't pretend this is about your father.
I was born like this, is born like this, immaculate conception. I transform like this, perform like this, was out, you wasn't